go. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Strong Four, number 7, continuing to climb up, and just reminding myself of that promise that when we get to the dozen, we'll give you the soapbox episode,
There you
so we
go.
can just rant and riff for for a couple of minutes. But yeah, missed last week, so we're playing catch up here. But geez, a lot of stuff has happened in the last week. What have you been up to for the last 14 days since we last caught up?
Well, the Type 5 group that I got going has done really well. I've been, playing catch up with them and talking with them, getting more videos out for them and everything else. You guys are really enjoying that part of the program, and I've gotten quite a few more inquiries. So I'm actually going to open up a second group. Looking at the timing of it, making sure that there was always a gap at the end of this one, at the end of 12 weeks before they go into that fall season when they start coming back to your coaches. So trying to give them a little bit more to keep them going, take the second group and go that. But the main season being starting in January, it'll work out really well. So with a lot of the guys, they were already asking me about the a preseason version of this off-season program. So I'll just keep them moving through. The second group, obviously, I'll have a little bit different preseason, or I may look at making the end of the off season a little bit different, but trying to get a group established for that as well and get that rolling. So that's about it.
Yeah. Geez, might have to start calling you lazy boy. We've been doing some furniture shopping, and they've got us on 4 to 6 month waiting period. So sounds like you're building up your own waiting list for
Yeah.
down the road. So no, that's awesome, and
Maybe
yeah,
the bigs are finally getting a little love.
yeah, there you go. So. And definitely changing the look of them as well. Not just not just big and kind of taking up space, but
Don't need a drunk rhino out there in the field.
there
You
you
don't need
go.
a drunken rhino. You don't need to just waddle around. You got to move. You got to be active. You rugby coaches out there, they don't want two less guys because the two props can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
You got to get in there and move. You got to be able to carry the ball. It might only be 2 or 3 meters, putting it in the middle of the field. It may be you're the last option. It's just happen to be standing there. But when that ball hits your hands, you got to be able to do something. And so you don't need to be knocking it forward. That's not doing something.
Yeah. Well, and we totally didn't plan to discuss this, but I think it's interesting. I mean, as strength coaches and even as rugby coaches, we often talk about how how those positions, especially at prop, how they've evolved in the last 15 to 20 years. At least when I first got introduced to the game, almost 20 years ago, the prop was just the biggest body on the field, and that was it. People only cared about if you are big, you're harder to push, and therefore you've got a little more gas in the tank, or weight in the trunk. But I had a conversation recently, and this was actually concerning, that a young athlete was told to gain what I almost felt like was a ridiculous amount of weight. I mean, 50 pounds in an off season, just to be able to play prop.
That's impossible. Used to catch it in football as well. All my, I've always liked the bigs because that's what I am.
Yeah.
I went to Peter Newell's big man camp in the NBA all the way to Hawaii with Sean Elliott. As even though he was a 3, he played a little different, with a lot of centers and power forwards over there. And that's where I kind of started looking at that, and it's always with the linemen. Hey, 7-on-7's going for football. The linemen are at home, eating Cheetos on the couch. I had a kid, eat a 50-piece McNugget. I've told you that before. Eat a 50-piece McNugget before he came to the gym. Like, oh, I got to put on weight. Oh, well, you still got to be able to see your feet. You still have to be able to move. And in rugby, it's even more is you have to carry that weight around.
Yeah.
And if all you can do is plod in the middle of the field, then you're pretty much worthless for a lot of the game. If you can't get up off the ground because your belly, you look like Shamu sliding up on the side, saying hi to the kids, you're out of the game. The rugby coaches, they're -2 players.
Yeah.
When I first started training Ben, we talked about that a lot. And his first year with the Hurricanes, there was a video, and it's still I still see it. But it was Ben chasing down one of the faster backs in the Super Rugby. Not that he took a great angle of pursuit and everything else, but he was fast enough in the 38th minute to be able to chase this guy down, reach out, grab him by the jersey, and yank his ass down out of bounds.
Wow.
So, but you have to do that. You have to be part of the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just the involvement, even NFL, it was a lot of big guys playing on the offensive line. They were big and athletic, and then they were just big because that's how the game kind of went. And now they're big and athletic. You don't see the big guts hanging over the pants as often anymore. These guys, especially these guys playing on the tackles, they got to be quick. They got to move. You got guys like Duke Manyweather that's out there doing his O-line work that puts these guys through some great drills. And you look at how fast their feet are, and they're 6'7", 320 pounds. Obviously going to have a little belly jiggle because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also huge. They're strong. They're quick. They're explosive. And people don't realize just how strong they are to be able to move that body, which is what I used to do with the high school and even in the college and the NBA. A lot of these guys, when I get to the NBA, they weren't that weight training really wasn't that popular except on a few teams. And you got a guy that's 6'9", picking up a size 18 shoe. He's got to be strong. And the problem with when you look like I do is if I say strong, everybody thinks I'm gonna make you do a 1 rep max in a squat or 1 rep max in the deadlift. And even had some of the guys talk to me about the first 4 weeks of the Type 5 program, because there's 2 weeks of 5 sets of 8 and 2 weeks of 5 sets of 6 in the squats. And I expect you to get up and peak. I expect you to kill yourself on that final set.
Yeah.
As you're getting up there, you need to be more than 1 rep. 1 rep max is just part of the equation. 5 rep max, 8 rep max. What can you do 8 times? You go back to some of the old stuff, 20 rep max, 20 rep squat program. If you haven't done one of those, you just you have to experience it.
Yeah.
So,
No, and that's always good for me, kind of hit certain periods of the year to where it's like I just need a mental refresh.
Yeah.
And I'll hit those times to where it's maybe 1 week or one time within a week it's do those high rep 3 of 15, 2 of 20, something like that.
I end up most of my squat at least once, probably every other week. I'll finish with a set of 20.
Wow.
And I'm not going down to 135 pounds for a set of 20 either. I'm using a good weight. I'm not using the weights that I used to use.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking, but
yeah. So, well, not shifting gears, but shifting focus on the field, talking, obviously great stuff going on with your Type 5. And we were going to focus today on, or touch today on the wings, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, I guess, in terms of players on the field. We were joking about how, had to take our shoes off to count the jersey number.
I'm trying to figure that out.
But
jersey doesn't fit people like me.
Yeah, right. Although, in a lot of cases, that jersey used to fit a lot of people that now wear those smaller numbers. That's what they always say, right? The evolution is your number
Yeah.
gets lower as you get older.
Yeah.
Um, at, at least at a lot of the club and amateur levels. But um, we always say that my specialty is the backs, but I mean, you've certainly trained a couple of backs, a couple of speedsters, in your time, especially since you and I've known each other. So, what are some of the big keys that you always encourage or emphasize, when working with those smaller, or no, I can't say smaller because they're not small
Yeah.
anymore,
No,
but
yeah,
the outside
exactly.
backs.
Most of the guys are pretty good size guys, pretty good size athletes. They're still got to be strong. They still got to be able to break tackles. They still got to go in and make a tackle. They might not be sticking their head in the middle of a ruck, but they're at
Yeah,
least getting in there and getting dirty. I mean, and you got to be, they got to be able to get back up off the ground after you are tackled. But since they are the faster of the guys, I'll change that program to more of what I would do with some of my track athletes. There'll be obviously going to be a lot more where my front rower is going to add a little bit of thickness. The second row is going to add, and the loose forward is going to add some more jumping. These guys are going to add more speed work, more multi-directional speed work. I do like doing curved runs with them. Trying to make sure that they, if you're not strong and you do a curved run, you're going to drift all the way out. Looks like the guy going, rounding first base, going into second. The strong ones can stay inside that infield dirt. The weaker ones, when they don't understand that force starts pulling them out, they may as well, go out into right field and shake the right fielder's hand on some of them. So those curved runs are real important. Strength is still important. Stopping strength. You can have all the accelerator you want, but you still got to have brakes. And you don't need are brakes that fail, and you end up with sore knees, sore ankles, sore knees because you can't stop. So the overuse injuries of that, and then keeping those hamstrings strong, keeping those hamstrings pliable, keeping those hamstrings healthy. Which hamstring injuries, groin injuries, hip injuries, those are big. So where, like I said before, where my front rowers are going to squat twice a week. That's a non-brainer. You're squatting twice a week in the off season.
yeah,
Second row is going to squat twice a week, but one of those squats are going to be a single leg squat. The guys is as a main movement. So my wings and all of that, we're going to squat, but then we're going to start doing different single leg squat, lateral squats like we had talked before, reverse lunges, trying to make sure that those Achilles and everything else is strong. A lot of glute ham raise, with the Nordics are a real popular thing. If you don't have knee issues, where I have knee issues and some of my other ones have knee issues, a lot of times with that downward pressure on and someone holding your ankles, that downward pressure on the kneecap when they're going down irritates their knees, where they're, the cartilage behind the knee gets beat up. And I look at it the same as a powerlifter wrapping his knees at too young of an age, jamming that kneecap back in there. So, but I do like that. I have a lot of speed, like straight leg kicks with banded. We did those
oh
at
yeah,
Baylor. We did those quite a bit at Baylor. We had hooked up on the power rack above us, and we would have speed cord with ankle cuffs, and they would have to slam that. We'd have it nice tight, and they would have to straight leg kick that leg down. Cal Dietz has some great stuff with the band stretched across the power rack, straight leg that way, making sure that hamstring can take that tension. But
mm,
lower back, but again, we go with the same thing. You can't make them top heavy because then you're going to change their ability to change direction or move. But
yeah,
you still got to have some muscle in that upper body that you can take those hits and deliver a hit and still get back up and get back in the game. Hand strength, wrist strength, elbows. So basically, it's not anything different than anybody else does on the pitch. You just change a few things, you know, looking at that emphasis. So, you know, where I said, you know, that front row is going to emphasis is going to be on putting, sorry, my eyeball itches, is putting a little bit extra body mass on that upper body to make contact, to hit, and everything else. These guys, it's your emphasis is going to be on speed, quickness. Yeah, everybody measures 40 meters. I measured 5, 10. You know, for them, yeah, for a winger, yeah, 40, 50, 60 meters, that's important, you know. But backwards, forward, and everything else. So
Yeah.
I still like a lot of plyos with them as well. A lot of hurdle jumps. They're always fun to watch those guys do the hurdle jumps. You know, set them up there towards the high hurdle and watch them just boing and then hit the ground, and come off the ground real quick. But and working in the NBA with a lot of guards, and then actually worked with 2 young ladies that are Olympic fencers, bronze medalists, and light on their feet. You know, how they make the lunges and everything else. And when I worked with my boxer as well, trying to make him light on his feet, you know, being able to you know, react and everything else, that quick reactive plyos, doing bleacher hops, and then, you know, walking over to the stairs and doing that quick response, boing, 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 you know, up the stairs, single leg, you know, double leg, single leg, laterally, and everything else.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the guys that don't want to be in the gym, so you got to make it exciting for them. You know, you can get them in the gym. I usually always say that about basketball. I can get them in the gym twice a week. I can guarantee you I can get them in the gym twice a week. Spurs players, they're in off season when they would want to work with me twice a week, no problem. 3 times a week, man, I'm not a weightlifter. I'm not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go out to the field and we would run bleachers. We would do bear crawls. We would run hills. We would throw med balls. They didn't think that they were doing any strength training, doing all of this, because they weren't in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no strength training to running a hill. You know, there's no strength to doing some sprints with the sled behind you. There's no strength to doing bear crawls. So you got to kind of, like we talked before, you got to kind of find a way to help them make it. You know, they don't want to be in the gym all the time. That's fine. There's other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, and I like what you said earlier about you know, like you're talking about the curved running, you know, and it does come from a strength base, and I think that's what you know, a lot of times I've heard other sports coaches say he needs to be more powerful, and then the athlete translated as, okay, well, I need to move heavy weight quickly, which, you know,
going there to do hang cleans, power cleans, and everything else, and that's not always the case.
But they forget about strength is the base of that. And I know, you know, a while back you mentioned that, you know, even balance, strength is the base of balance. It's your muscles being able to activate and hold your body in
fighting against gravity.
Yeah, exactly. And
gravity's always trying to win.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, talking about it's one of the things that I've really been thankful for, you know, connecting with coaches like yourself and some of the others that are, you know, kind of in our network that really emphasize the strength or the force velocity curve, and you know, the different types of strength and strength, speed, strength, endurance, etc. I think too many athletes, and I get this a lot in conversations, they think, well, I need to get stronger, and you know, as you and I often say, okay, in what way? You know, and athletes just think strong is strong, but
and that's the and they're trying to get them to understand that this is the way the progression goes. You know, this is, you got to have your off season. You got to heal your wounds. You got to get you got to get your base built back up. You got to do this. As you get further in your career, you don't have to spend as much time in that. But if you're young in your career, you need to spend some time in that GPP. So you need to learn how to do the Olympic lifts, because I can get a lot of great work done within that, you know, and combination lifts and everything else, the med ball and all of that. So, trying to get these guys to understand, guys and young ladies to understand how important it is to have a well thought out, well planned program. I can make an off season 12 weeks. I can make it 8 weeks. I can make it 6 weeks. I can make it whatever I need to make it. But then we have to learn to attack the preseason, obviously back off a little bit during preseason because the rugby coaches take over, and then you get in season, you got to work hard, so you can maintain all of that. And if you got these long rugby seasons, then that in season becomes even more important. A lot of the guys that are going to play on that wing, you're going to go to sevens, where the props are going to go home and and bench and and squat. You're going to go play in sevens tournaments. You're going to go play in the tens tournaments. You need to work on those ball skills and everything else. And that's another thing is my deal with the especially with the backs is when we're taking our and with the forwards is too, but they'll do some other stuff. But during rest periods on sprints and everything like that, throw a couple balls, make them pass the ball. You got a 30-second or a 60-second rest period going on some good hard full sprints. Give them 30 seconds, 45 seconds, just tossing the ball back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
Then give them 10, 15 seconds to breathe, get a little sip, and get back on that horse and go.
Yeah. 100%. And one of the I've had a couple of different conversations with some younger athletes that they always say their big goal this offseason is to get in better shape. Well, my encouragement to those athletes is don't just do 5, 6, 7 mile runs. Long periods of slow speed are probably going to get you fitter in one aspect of fitness, but you might end up losing a step or two in your speed. And as you and I know that there's plenty of ways that you can maintain or even improve that speed and still improve your overall fitness level at the same time.
That's exactly it too. Yeah. You got to have the base and everything else. And yeah, no one says don't go out every so often for a long, a nice little run. If I do encourage anything like that, put a mile or two in just to kind of work that fitness base. It's early in the thing, but I prefer that you go out in the woods and do it.
Yeah.
Don't go on a flat track or run through the streets. That's just boring as hell. Get up in some hills. Go out there on a cross country run. Twist your ankles a couple of times. Make them a little stronger. Go up and down the hills. Jumping over the tree roots, the rocks, and everything else, the different riverbeds and all of that are loose. But you got to have some hills in there. In that as well. But you don't want to go out there and the guy that usually comes in first in the mile is not going to be your fastest.
Yeah.
If you're running a mile in track, because that's you chose to run the 1500. Why? I don't know. The 3, the 5000, the steeplechase, and all that other stuff. Okay, that's great. That's your sport. But it's not for here. And it's like these guys going out there running 20-second 100s. For tempo, right? 20 seconds. If it takes you 20, I can run a 20-second 100 meters. I can get on my side and roll that far. It's not going to do anything for you athletically, especially if you go back to the same thing we're talking about. Especially if you're a wing, especially if you're a back, you need to be fast.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be slow forever. You got to have your base, and if you have to continue to build your base every off season, then you need to look at what your in-season training is, because somewhere along the line you're failing. Because like we know, I mean, it's a long season. It's a very long season, and hopping from here to there. I mean, if you're not continuing to work what your general prep phase, your base building, and all of that, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, no, 100%. And speaking of a long season, we just recently made public that we're going to bring our clinic, our kilograms to kilometer event back in person later this summer, August 7th. I, I don't know, but I hope I speak for you,
Yeah,
but in the new space as well.
in the new
So
space.
it totally excited to get you back in town and be able to highlight the new space. That was, of course, one of the bonus features of opening this space, is having a place that you and I can, can welcome other folks and
Right.
share our knowledge and experience. So what, without sharing too much, what, I know last time you were in Bloomington, it was the strong in the right positions, conversation. Is it going to be version two of that, volume two of that, or
A little bit
you
of
got some new topics?
got some new topics. Got a little bit more of that. I'm gonna break down a little bit more of not just program, but why different things are important within the program. A lot of too many people start trying to sterilize the training program, minimal effective dose, and all this other stuff. I'm looking for the optimal effective dose of training. I'm not looking for a minimal of anything. I'm not
Yeah.
looking for maximal, but you got to kind of push the limits. We'll do a little bit of a little bit behind my idea of the general prep phase for the bigs with the strongman circuits, and then get into like I said, get into exercise selection. Why these exercises are selected instead of just spoon feeding you that, make you think a little bit for yourself. Then we're gonna get in there and get dirty and get some training done ourselves.
Yeah, that's I think we
Put some folks through some pain.
yeah, I know we did a demo last time you were in town. Didn't really have the setup to do
We didn't
everybody
have
at
the
once,
setup. We
but
got it now with what you
um,
got.
yeah, so be able to,
We
looking
can
forward
do
to
more than a demo. We can bring some pain.
yeah, for sure, give them something to remember us, not just the notepad, but
You don't unless you experience it, you're not going to understand it. Experience
yeah,
why that heavy tire flip is important. Experience them with overhead, Dan John overhead carries, one kettlebell up, one kettlebell down, plate carries, farmers walks and everything else. Get a little experience on it, you'll understand how it works.
yeah,
So even for coaches, just it doesn't have to be a heavy load, but just kind of get a feel for what that Zercher carry feels like when it's pushed against your arms, where it makes your muscles sore. Because if you can understand where it makes you sore and where it hits, then you're more likely to, okay, yeah, that's a great exercise. Crap, I don't need that, and toss it aside. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and we are exactly 6.5 weeks out, at least at the time that we're recording this, 6.5 weeks out from that event. So looking forward to building some interest and getting some, definitely plenty of athletes across multiple sports
yeah,
to come in, because just like you and I mean, it doesn't have to be just a rugby athlete coming in and learning this. There's plenty of takeaways for a football athlete, for a throwing athlete, and any other non-contact athlete to learn from.
for everybody. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. That's this is the general.
Yeah.
Off season is general work. It's it's not till the preseason that it becomes rugby, throwing, this, that. So this is
Yeah.
preseason. Everybody needs to be strong. Everybody needs to be powerful. Everybody needs to be quick, and everybody needs to be fit.
Yeah. 100%. Well, Coach, as always, pleasure catching up with you. Looking forward to our next conversation and continuing
Oh
to
my.
build momentum towards the KG to KM in August.
Yes, sir.